I just fight real fighters.
The truth is, these sports washing shady characters are paying you hundreds of millions of dollars to stop our fight from happening, and you're screwing over all your Mexican fans.
Canelo Alvarez just shut down Jake Paul in a way only he can, and the internet is going wild. Jake, as usual, was hyping up a fight that was never even close to happening, trying to ride the wave of a non-existent showdown with Canelo. The truth is, Canelo's busy defending world titles, focusing on his career as one of boxing's greatest, not playing around with a YouTuber-turned-boxer who's still in the hobby stage. After Canelo's Instagram live video went viral, it became crystal clear to everyone. Jake Paul had once again created another fake headline, barely a month into the new year. Jake had been touting a fight that was as real as a Hollywood blockbuster. He claimed he wanted to face Canelo in the ring, but in reality, the two never agreed to anything. And why would they? It'd be a joke of a payday for Canelo. Jake Paul versus Canelo Alvarez was allegedly set for May 3, 2025, at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. A date so absurdly convenient that even the universe had to roll its eyes. Cinco de Mayo weekend is sacred in boxing, usually reserved for genuine legends, not social media influencers with a knack for making noise. Jake seemed to think he was about to enter the arena with greatness, but Canelo never even bothered to send an RSVP. What's even more bizarre is how the reports about this fight started gaining traction, especially the timing. Was it all part of some kind of litmus test, seeing how far these rumors could go before reality set in? The situation only got more curious when Netflix, seemingly new to the boxing world, stepped into the scene. They were throwing around figures, allegedly offering over $100 million to get Canelo in the ring. But where was this money even coming from? Was Netflix seriously planning to drop that much cash? Or was there some mystery billionaire or random Saudi investor behind the scenes? Ultimately, this whole spectacle, Jake's wild claims and the inflated numbers being reported, was nothing more than a well-marketed fantasy. Canelo, however, remains firmly focused on his actual goals, defending his legacy and continuing his reign as one of the greatest boxers of this generation, not indulging in the circus that Jake Paul has turned his boxing career into.
Reporting of the information May 3rd coming out yesterday, I don't think was coincidence in the sense that perhaps there was a little litmus test being done.
The entire situation seemed dubious, superfluous, and as authentic as a boxing masterclass taught by Jake Paul. The weight, the largest warning sign of all, then appeared. Canelo, a 168-pound super middleweight, had been decimating elite fighters in his classification for years. 200-pound cruiserweight Jake Paul has a stellar record of defeating MMA fighters and washed-up boxers. That's a 32-pound differential, which in boxing is like an elephant and a cheetah. Two completely different animals.
Said it was all but done, right? How did it go from all but done to a change of heart? No, putting it out there to maybe try to get to see, how the public would react to it.
Jake Paul either wanted Canelo to gain weight and become sluggish or thought he could convince the world that this fight was somehow fair. Either way, it reeked of desperation. But of course, the media circus loved it. Major outlets like ESPN, The Ring, and even Eddie Hearn started speculating that a fight was on the horizon. The one thing missing, however, was an official deal. No contracts, no official announcements, just a barrage of clickbait headlines fueling Jake's narrative. The fight was never real, but it worked in his favor, keeping his name in the headlines. Yet cracks started to show. If Jake Paul truly believed this fight was happening, he was in deep denial. Canelo never took him seriously. Anytime Jake's name came up, Canelo didn't just dismiss it, he laughed. And not just a quick chuckle. It was the kind of laugh you give when a toddler challenges you to a push-up contest. The reality is, Canelo doesn't chase money by sharing the ring with social media stars. He's making $40 million plus per fight, fighting the light-level boxers. His name alone sells arenas and generates millions. Meanwhile, Jake needs big names like Canelo just to stay relevant. The fact that he has to constantly stir up this kind of drama shows how badly he craves attention. Canelo doesn't need this circus. He's focused on his legacy, not on playing games with internet personalities.
Canelo, Jake Paul's made a lot of noise, especially last week. Do you take any notice of him? Who?
Jake Paul. Did you take any notice of him? He said
That
2
team.
years.
That team.
This is where the Butterbean issue arises. Recall Butterbean, the popular novelty fighter who was adored by everybody until he was put to the test. In 2024, that's Jake Paul. The fantasy was destroyed when he stopped taking down former USC grandpas. He lost to boxer Tommy Fury, who was his own size. Neuheit, My Secret, Us Coco, and Realism. Paul wasn't a danger if he wasn't untouchable. He was simply another man who used boxing.
Under this, you have Terrence Crawford. I'm waiting on Canelo in September and going to shock the world in Riyadh season. So that tweet comes out, and immediately the thought is, holy shit, what the just happened? Because the previous offer was 3 fights for Canelo that apparently was done for, that he was washing away and rethinking because Turkey was going to look to do other things because Canelo was supposedly going to fight Jake. Now it's 4 fights.
Canelo was out here negotiating a 4-fight mega deal with Riyadh, which promised greater bouts, more money, and more prestige than Jake Paul could provide. Canelo was really negotiating with Terrence Crawford, while Jake was shouting over his phone about fantasy matchups. Arlo Bybeaten of its legacy battles pivotal events in his career.
I'm thinking about is why you guys asking me for that especially fight. Jake Paul, please guys.
While Jake Paul's staff was still busy creating the illusion 4 days before to the fight night, Canelo Alvarez nonchalantly went live on Instagram and put an end to everything. 12 words that instantly erased months of nonsense, no grand declaration, no long speech. That was it. For weeks, Jake Paul and MVP had been promoting this fight as if it were set in stone. Articles had been written, social media was humming, and all it took was Canelo casually destroying a whole PR operation in real time. If he was indeed going to face one of the best boxers alive, Ake even shared training clips. But Cacandelo's one-liner brought the entire scenario to a head.
Guys, don't pay attention in anything. In this fucking YouTuber, I just fight real fighters. Don't f***ing around with Canelo.
The most amusing aspect is that only MVP Jake Paul and a few cleverly evasive sources ever said that this battle was taking place. News of advanced conversations began to circulate back in March. Between Jake and Canelo, there was no formal confirmation, but he, The Ring, ESPN, and Eddie Hearn all made conjectural remarks. The people in Paul's tent were the only ones who took it as gospel.
So we had a signed contract to fight. Here you can see Canelo's signature and my signature to the right, claiming he's not fighting YouTubers. Bullshit. Look at the poster. We were announcing Tuesday, February 11th, claiming he fights real fighters, but he's fighting Crawford, a 135-pound fighter, and running from a real fighter like David Benavidez.
Just in case anyone still thought there was a chance for Jake Paul versus Canelo, Turki Al-Sheikh stepped in to put the final nail in the coffin. Jake's biggest problem. Turkey despises crossover fights, and he's been open about it. When rumors of the fight started circulating, Turkey didn't hesitate to shut them down. He retweeted a post from Asterisk, the Ring Asterisk magazine, yep, the one you own, immediately dismissing the whole idea. Then, on February 8th, 2025, just a day after Canelo humiliated Jake on Instagram, Turkey made it even clearer. He posted a direct shot at influencer boxing, simply stating, Canelo fights real fighters. No room for misinterpretation, no ambiguity. It was a public reminder that Jake Paul was never part of the conversation, no matter how much noise he made.
Money-hungry squirrel chasing your next nut. The truth is these sports-washing shady characters are paying you hundreds of millions of dollars to stop our fight from happening because they couldn't fathom the fact that they can't create a bigger fight.
And Jake Paul wasn't the only one involved. Turkey, since he began investing heavily in boxing, Al-Sheikh has been working to save the sport from gimmicks and YouTube stunt matches. This season, Riyadh has been assembling fantastic fight cards that people genuinely want to watch and signing real fighters.
Potential showdown in May, Cinco de Mayo weekend. At the same time as all of this, there is great interest from Turki Al-Sheikh and Riyadh season to put on a Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Crawford fight. So these two conversations are happening somewhat in parallel.
However, the opposition against Jake Paul didn't end there. Even TKO, the parent organization of the UFC and WWE, is opposed to working with him. Jake has alternated between insulting Dana White and attempting to land a UFC deal for years. He referred to himself as the savior of combat sports, attacked UFC stars, and disparaged fighter compensation. But in January 2025, when Jake Paul was out here discussing how to make the greatest battles happen, he was not on their radar. TKO executives met with WWE President Nick Khan and Turkish Al-Sheikh Dana White in Riyadh. Jake Paul was not present because he was desired. Reyes season has a close relationship with the UFC and WWE. They are growing internationally, forming significant alliances, and conducting business with those who truly manage the sport. Jake Ace's whole brand was founded on his attacks on Dana White in the UFC. Now that boxing is trending towards Saudi Arabia, he's seeing that his antics don't affect the decision makers.
Two-faced, lying, fucking nut job, you know, and yeah, me and Oscar are never gonna